Hey guys, it's Kip here from KDC Marketing, and in today's video I want to show you how you can create a custom CMS form inside of Wix Studio, just like this one here, this Join Now. So I'm going to show you how you can create this from scratch and how it can also link to your team members page right here where you can display dynamic content. So let's go ahead and get started. So if you're new to Wix Studio or new to Wix CMS, all it really stands for is the content management system. And so over here on the left-hand side, you have the CMS button where you can turn on the content management system inside of Wix Studio, and it works by way of collections. So you have a collection, which is like a database, and then inside of that database, you have items. So I'm going to open up my team member collection here so you can see what's going on behind the scenes. So I have my collection, which is the team members, which acts like my database. And then I have the different items inside of my collection. And this is where all the data that I am displaying and collecting dynamically is going into this collection. So I'm actually using this collection in two different ways. I'm using it to display my team members section here with these different fields. And I'm also using it to collect information from my team members with that form, the Join Now form. So that's the part I'm going to focus on, is the input field and the display of these dynamic items, and show you how you can create something like this for yourself. Now, just for fun, I also tried out the new color field that they recently came out with. So I might talk about that a little bit as well, where I'm using that to display this favorite color field right here. You can see I'm dynamically affecting the text color of this repeater. So I'm going to show you how I created this step by step so that you can create the same thing. And let me show you how it works right now. So if you go to the Join Now, I'm going to go here and type in a test. So I'm just going to put in test input. My title is Chief CMS Officer, and my bio, I love everything CMS. And I'm actually just going to make up a name up here. And then I'm going to add an image. I'm going to upload one from my computer. So I've got that all put in, and I'm going to hit submit. So once I hit this submit button, you're going to see kind of the wheels start rotating. And this submission is going to go directly into my content management system. So if I go to my content management system inside of my collection here, it is going to show up. So I have this James Allen Chief CMS Officer, which I misspelled, officer. And then I love everything CMS. And here is this input. Now, the one thing that I was not able to figure out is how to input this color field. Since it's a new field, I'm not sure what type of input field it needs, but you could just edit this after the fact. So you could change it to one of the site colors, or you can add in a hex color code for this color. Okay, another thing that you might notice is that when this new item comes in, it's set to hidden by default. That's strategic because I want to make sure the information is correct before I display anything. And so if I change this to show, then you'll see that James Allen now shows on the team page, just like my other team members here. And his favorite color is a bit messed up, so I might go in and change that to a better color that actually displays with that gray. But the idea is that I'm collecting this information. I'm using a CMS form, a custom CMS form, and then I'm inputting it, I'm displaying it with the same dynamic collection. So there you go. And I put it right into the same format of my other items, all happening dynamically. So let me show you how you can create this for yourself if you want to create this setup on your own Wix Studio website, and how you can do this on your own. So I'm going to go in and create a new page here. I'm going to name it Join version 2. So I'm just adding a standard blank page. I don't really need a dynamic page to do this. So I'm just going to call this Join version 2. I'm going to hit enter, and I'm going to click these three dots and just make sure that my URL slug is not blank because most of the time that's what it will put it as blank. So I'm just going to do join v2 just so it has a real page URL. And now I'm going to start building my form, my custom CMS form. So in order to do that, I have to, first of all, have this collection created. So if you don't have a collection here, you need to create one. And you can do that by going to, let me go back here so you can see create collection. And then you have these different options. You can import it from a CSV file. You can start from scratch. You can create with AI. I'm just going to click start from scratch to show you. So let's just say team members 2. Team members 2. I'm going to click create. And then I just need to create the different fields for my collection. So in here, I need to put in the first field, which is the name. So I'm just editing this default field to name, which is a text field. And then I'm adding the other fields here, and there are a lot of different options you can choose from in order to create these databases. So they have these essential fields like text, URLs. Here's that color field that I showed you. Then they have some media fields like images, videos, audio. You can even do a whole media gallery. They have time and location, and then they also have some that are based on code. So you can do an object and an array field using JavaScript. So I'm just going to use some pretty basic ones in here. So I'm going to do another text field, and I need the title. So this is like CEO or CFO or marketing specialist. So I'm going to add this field, and then I'm going to add the other fields. So I need another text field, which is the bio field, and I'm just naming this bio. And then I'm going to add another field here, which is the profile image. So this is an image field here. And then my last field that I think I had was the color. And this was just kind of a fun add-on, so you don't have to really use this, but I really just wanted to try it out. So favorite color, I think, is what I called it. So now I kind of have the framework for my other CMS collection, and this is, as you can see, this was the framework for this one. So let me go back to this, and I can enter in the team members item by item if I want to. So I just click add item, and I can type in, like for myself, I could just type this in. My title is CEO. My bio is that I love creating content. And then I can add an image here. So let me add this. And I'm going to add this to the item, and then I can set my favorite color, which I put as black. So that's how I would go in and add an item manually, but you can import items with a CSV file, which I do have a CSV file somewhere here. And so I'm going to open this, and then I'm just going to check that these fields are the right fields. And this one's supposed to be the color one, and it's an existing field, so favorite color. And I'm going to click next and then import. So I was just making sure that it was importing the correct things. And you'll see here in a second that now I have all the people that I had in my first collection, except for the profile image. So I would have to go in and find a profile. So I decided to go into Unsplash and type in profile here to find these different faces of wonderful people and put them in. And this one's me, so I probably should have put in a different picture for this one. But you get the idea that I would just go in and create these different, add these different profile images for all the different team members, so that in the end, it looks just like this one here. So I'm actually going to leave some of these blank for now. I'll put in a few others. Let me change this one to myself because I'm in there twice. And then I'll just add in one or two more, and then I'll show you how we can build the form here. So I'll just add in this picture, and let's get one more. We'll just do profile, and we'll add in one more image. Here we go. Okay, so now I can start building my input form off of my collection. So all I have to do is go to the add elements over here, and I'm going to find the input section, and I'm going to start grabbing my input fields. And this is what you need in order to import this data into your collection, into your database. So I'm just going to use this one. This is the one I actually used on the other form. And as soon as I grab this field, I can connect it to my CMS, to my collection. So I have to click on the element itself, then I have to click on this icon, the connector icon, and then I click add dataset. And what this is going to do is it's going to add a dataset to this page. And so I'm going to choose my team members 2 collection, the one I just created, and click create. And now I have a data set connected to my page, and I can start setting this up. So it's giving me this error right now that the data set mode is set to read. So this is super important to understand. If you are doing a custom CMS form, you have to change the data set settings to write. So that means that you can actually write in these input fields and not just read the information that's getting displayed. So I'm going to change that right now. So the data set mode is changed to write, but I don't have to only change it here. I also have to change it in my collection. So I'm going to go to my CMS collection, my team members 2, and I need to go to the more actions and the collection settings. So inside of the collection settings, you have this permissions and privacy. And so what I'm trying to do is collect content. So this is different than if I'm just trying to show content. But in fact, what I'm actually trying to do here is collect content and show content. So I'm going to select the advanced because I want to collect this data dynamically and then also display this data dynamically on a different page. So I'm going to go to advanced, and I want everybody to be able to view. I want everyone to be able to add, but I only want the update and deleting to be done by the admin, or you could do site collaborators. But really, these are the 2 that I need to make sure I have marked. Is the view and add. It needs to be for everyone, so that anyone can add content to it. Anyone can view the content that's being displayed. Now, one caveat to this is if you only wanted site members to be able to add, then you would check off the everyone. Or if you only wanted, item creators and collaborators to add, or collaborators to add, then you could check off this items creator. But in this case, we want everyone to be able to add because we want everyone to be able to add to the collection, no matter if they're a member or just a regular site user. Okay, so this is super important. These have to be checked in order for this to work. And then, like I said, these ones aren't as important for this specific case. So I'm going to click save on this, and that will update my collection settings. And I'm going to turn on in the collection settings the item visibility. So this is also important because as items come into my collection, I want to make sure that by default they're set to hidden so that I can look at the information that was submitted in the custom form and make sure it's all correct and accurate and update the favorite color and everything before I push it live to my website. So I'm going to set the default item, the item visibility default status for the new items to hidden. So I'm going to click save, and then now I get this visibility status bar over here that I can turn off or on depending on the item that I want to show or hide. So those are all really important things. Just to recap real quick, we changed the data set settings on the page to write, and then we also changed the collection settings to custom because we have to make it possible for us to be able to, for people to be able to view and add. Okay, so now that we have that done, and if you remember, there was a little flag when I first set this up kind of saying, hey, you need to change the data set settings. So it'll try to remind you, but it's important to get those things working correctly. So now once I go into settings, I'm going to just change this to text. And I don't want a placeholder, but I'm going to say this is required. And this is the name. So this is the first field in our collection, and I'm going to connect this value to the name. So as soon as I have this done, this will import into the name field in my collection. And now I'm just going to duplicate these because these are all going to just be text fields. And so I'm going to do name, I'm going to do title, and then I'll just go in and change this to title. And then I'm going to duplicate this again and change it to the bio. And so I'm going to change this to bio. And then I'm going to get my input field for the image. I need to upload a profile image. That's one of my fields. So I'm just going to grab another input type here. So it's going to be upload buttons. And I'm just going to do this profile photo one here. This adds it to my canvas. I'm just going to drag it out to about the length of my other ones. And I'm going to connect this to profile image. And so then I have to mess with the settings a bit, say that this is required. And then I do want to change the corners here to match the style of these other ones. So I'm going to go in and change the corners to 6 pixels. So 6 pixels, and I have a similar look now to the other ones. I also might want to change that border instead of being blue to just being one of these colors that matches the other ones. This is pretty close to it, not exact. So we'd have to eventually figure out, I think it's this color here on the border. But it's not there. That's okay, it's close enough. So I've got my profile photo, and then I need to do my submit button. So I'm just gonna go to my regular quick add and add a button here. I'm gonna drag this out, and then I just modified the design slightly, changing the corners to 50 pixels, and then the color to a blue. And then I'm going to change this text to submit. So I do need to connect this button to my data set. So I'm going to click this, and it's the click action, and the click action needs to be set to submit in order for this to work. And then I can also add a success message and a failure message, which I definitely want to do, but I'm going to do that in just a second. So I'm going to do one more thing. I'm just going to add a title here and say join now, because that's something else that I need to do, is have a little title field for my form. And now I'm going to place these in a stack. So I'm going to hold shift as I click on each of these input elements, and I'm going to select the stack button here. This is going to group these elements together, and this is a feature that's only available in Wix Studio to be able to stack these elements. So I've got the elements stacked here. I'm going to set their pixel, the item spacing. I'm going to change this to pixels, 20 pixels. I'm going to align the items to center, and I'm going to justify. So as I justify, it stretches out all the elements to match the distance of the form. So you can see as I click and drag this, now everything is going to hug the container of this stack. So I'm going to do align my items to center, 20 pixels, so now my form's looking a bit more formatted. And then I'm going to add some padding to my section so that the form has some parameters around it. And I'm going to align this to the center. And then I'll shrink down my section here, and it should put this in the dead center of my section. Okay, so we have our collection side done, the input side for our custom CMS form. And now we need to test this. But before we do, I just want to do one more thing, and that was adding this success or failure message. And the reason that I left this out until the end is so that it could already be in the stack. So this is really important. This will tell us if the content was submitted or if there was an error with our form. And so you really need to add these so that you know if it works or if it doesn't work. And I need to go back now to my stack and just align a few things again, set it to 20 pixels, and then justify again so that these actually stretch. And then I want to move this one up. I'm okay with the error being down here a little bit if the content has been submitted one is up here. Okay, so now we test this. So I'm going to go in preview mode, and I'm going to test kip test, and then the title, CFO, bio, let's hope this works, and then we'll upload a photo. So let me upload a photo here. And I'm going to upload this one and I'm going to click submit. Now when I click submit, we should see that success or error message pop up here based on if it worked or not. Again, that's super important so that you know if it works. So it says that it was submitted, so let's go and check it. And let's go to our collection, and we have our team members 2 here. And sure enough, here's this new item that just got submitted into our database. So here's the KIP test, CFO, let's hope this works. And by default, this status is set to hidden. So as that new item comes in, it's set to hidden so that I can review it and make sure that this content is all accurate and everything. And then I can set this favorite color to something that's going to work with the current design. And then I can check this box and make this, I can show this item so that it'll be visible on the website. Now, one thing that we haven't done yet with this collection is we haven't built that display section. So this team section is using the same collection to display this content. And all I did was create a simple repeater here and was able to display this content. So let me show you how that's done. So again, we're going to create another page, kind of like we did with join version 2. We're going to do team version 2. So let me go to pages here and add a new page, and we'll call this team version 2. So you can see how to do this portion of the process. So I'm going to make sure that this URL gets updated, and then I can go in and start building my repeater. Okay, so I'm going to add a repeater just through the quick add. And the way that I did the repeater here is I actually did it as a list instead of the cards. So I set it to list so it has more of this longer layout instead of the grid system. And then I put some padding around my section here. I did about 6% on all sides on my section just to give the repeater some breathing room, and then I stretched this repeater. So I stretched it here so that it fills the width and height of the container. And then I changed this to 24 pixels. So this is the gap between the items inside of a repeater. And then the other thing that I did is I actually applied a CSS grid to this repeater. So I actually started off with a 3-column, and you can see now this is breaking it up into 3 columns. And then I got rid of 1 column, so I'll do that in a second. So I have my 3 columns now, and if I click on each item, you can see these same 3 columns within my repeater item here. So now I just went into the quick add and I added an image, and I stretched this image. So I'm kind of getting the basic layout of my repeater here. And then I also did a stack here, but I don't need this button. And I'm actually going to unstack these for now. So I just need a title here. I need a paragraph, and I need another title, but I need it to be a heading 6, and I need this one to be a heading 3. So now I'm building the building blocks of this repeater here that you see. So I have a title, I have a heading, and then I did do the favorite color, so I need one more paragraph. So let me go back to my team version 2, and we'll start connecting these things. So I'm going to connect my image. So again, I'm using this connector icon. After I click on the element, I have to add a data set to this page, and I have to choose team members 2 data set to add this to this specific page. Once I do that, then I can select my image source as the profile image, and you're going to see it's starting to populate. Now these ones are the default image here because I don't have that image in my collection. So I have some gaps in my collection here. These are blank images. So if these were all updated, you wouldn't see the images here that you see, but you see these ones coming in dynamically, so you know that it's working. Okay, then I need to connect my title field. So I'm clicking the connector tool, then I'm going to select this title. And oops, it's going to be name, not title. So we're going to do name. This will be the title field. And then we need the bio field for this one. And then we also need we need one more paragraph here, and that's going to be the favorite color. So I actually need to edit this text and change it to favorite color. And I'll move this in a second. So hopefully I can grab this text again. Let me get my layers panel here. And inside of this favorite color, I'm going to bring this down. Okay, so I've got my favorite color here. And I think this was a paragraph 1. And what I did was I didn't connect this to any text. I just connected it to the text color. So as I do that, you can see the favorite colors start to be populated here, and then I'm going to make this bold on the design so that it stands out a little bit. Okay, and then what I did to get the rest of the layout finished is on my CSS grid here, these 3 columns, I actually removed this second column. So now I have one column here, another column there that's a bit longer, and then I placed these all in a stack, and I stacked them together, and I set a pixel width here of 20, maybe it was 16, and then I justified the items and left aligned them, and then I just stretched this out. So you can see it's starting to look a lot more like the one we already had. And then if I align this to the center of my CSS grid cell container here, then I get a nice looking team repeater here. So this is the final step here. We have this set up to display this content, and now all we have to do is when we get a new item submitted, we go into here and we select show, and then that new person will show right here. So the next time someone on our team goes to this form and fills it out and submits that information, it'll come into our collection, and we'll see it here, and it'll populate, and then we can make it visible on our website. So so that's how you do both of those steps. That's how you create the custom CMS form, but then also display the content on the website. So let me show you something else too to keep in mind. So this is something I've noticed just recently as I've been building Wix Studio websites and building dynamic sites with Wix CMS, is that when you have a data set on a page, this page for example, there's 3 different modes. So there's read, read and write, and write. And in theory, the read and write should work. You should be able to have the input form and where you're going to display the data on the same page. But what I've noticed is lately that isn't working very well. If you have read and write on the same page, it messes with the write function. It doesn't really mess up the displaying, but it does mess up the form. And so when you go to put in the information to this form here, what it does is it just updates the top item in your collection. So it would just update this one rather than creating a new item when it gets submitted. So it used to work better when it was on one page and you could do both read and write. But something I'm finding lately is that those need to be on separate pages in order for them to work. And there may be something that I'm missing. There may be something that I don't know to get those to work. But what I've found is that it just works a lot better if you separate the custom CMS form on this page and set this to write mode, just write mode. And then on this page where you need to display, you just set this one to read mode. So you don't have to have it be doing both things. So that's just one thing I wanted to mention because it is important. If you're wanting to do both on the same page, you might run into issues if you use this read and write here. And the other thing is if you do want it to be set to the be visible by default, so instead of having to go in to approve a new item, you can do that. So in the collection settings here on the item visibility, you can just set this to visible instead of hidden. And then anytime somebody submits, creates an item through the custom CMS form, then it'll automatically show instead of you having to go in and check the box and make it visible. So let me just show you that really quickly, and then we'll wrap this up. So let's preview again and just say the name is John Doe. The title is CMO. I love marketing. And then we'll upload a photo, and it'll be this one. And we'll click submit. And then once this goes through, your content has been submitted. If I go to my team version 2, you already see John Doe here. So that's the difference, is if it's set to visible by default, it'll show up automatically right when it gets inputted. If it's set to hidden by default, then you have to go in and change the visibility. So that's why most of the time I default to the item visibility going to hidden, because I want to make sure I review everything and make sure everything is good to go before I publish that to the website. So hopefully that helps to get an idea of how to build a custom CMS form using the Wix CMS, just like this one. And it could be a lot more advanced than this, but this is just a simple tutorial on how to do that. And then how you can also display the content dynamically in the same collection after the items get inputted here on this other page. We're only using one collection to do both functions, to display this information and collect this information. So I hope you found this video helpful, and I will see you in the next video.